Retro Hangover is supported via Patreon by listeners like you. We would especially like to thank patrons Lyle McCarnes, Tony G, Tom the Superhero, Studstill Smash the Milkman, Lucas from Game Over Hell, Mast Keaton, Ozzy Garcia, JC, Megan Caruso, Rick Firestone, Dave Jackson, Jenny E, Retro Overdrive, Soha, The Emperor, Storm Beagle, Matt aka Stormageddon, Van Fernal and B. Ross from Super Garbage Day, Jared Brayland, Randall Quiggle, Raging Demon, Keith Gasper, The Retro Vixen, Eric Guess, Nomad from the Retro Wildlands Podcast, Ash Event, Alan Bingham, Mike the Rep from Backbreaker Gaming, Ryan Player One, Alt, Gary Heather, Low5 Alex, Omi, Makeshift Money, Sega Boy 7, and Riskel. Your continued engagement and generous donations are deeply appreciated. Welcome to The Flight, a consumable curation of champions and catastrophes that is considerate of your chronometer. Chronometer. It is I, Chris Copleen. That was a gruesome death of the word chronometer there, as provided by me. And I am joined, as always, by your host, Shane Dick Dragon Celtaire. I imagine a death by Dick Dragon would be pretty gruesome. What do you think?
I would have to think so. There are many possibilities, and none of them are particularly pleasant.
Yeah, it'd be a nice, scaly, girthy death as it ruptures your large intestine.
Yeah, so it would definitely be a Mr. Hands kind of scenario, I think.
Mr. Hands,
Mm-hmm.
Dos Manos. Oh. I've seen a video called Dos Manos before. It didn't sound like it sounded like the person was dying, but they definitely weren't.
Oh, not right away.
Well, on the inside.
Well, literally.
They died. Because, well, yeah. Well, also because a video was out there with someone jamming two hands up their butt. But
we're talking about two
here.
completely different videos. Okay, no, that's fine.
Oh. Anyway, we are talking about gruesome death scenes. And this topic was recommended by Alt. And if you want to, thank you, Alt, by the way. If you want to recommend and vote on topics, you can do that through our Patreon for as little as $1 a month. And then, yeah, we'll nominate your topics in our Discord, which is free to everybody. Not the nomination, though, unfortunately. And then, well, I don't know why I'm saying but. And then you can vote on it when we put it up in our Patreon at the end or beginning of the month, depending on how you view it. But this one was decided by Alt. You all voted for this one. This was the top vote getter. Shane, I don't know how to feel about this one.
I mean, I think it paints a very clear picture of our clientele, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah. Well, the previous one was games without combat, so maybe it's the duality of patrons.
Ooh, yeah. I mean, it's everything perfectly balanced as it should be.
It's deep, like two hands.
Or a horse.
Dos Manos. Or a horse. No.
Oh, early 2000s shock videos. Things that I shouldn't have seen. Anyway.
I've seen some of those too.
Yeah. So I guess probably before we start going into Lemon Party or Tub Girl territory, I should probably just go ahead and get this thing started. So Chris, would you like to kick this list off of violent ways in which video game characters meet their demise?
Number 5.
I'm going to start out with my number 5 because where else would I start? And I'm just going to give a disclaimer. This list probably sucks. I don't play a lot of terribly violent games anymore, so I don't remember a lot of gruesome deaths. So if you're like, man, Chris, I don't like your list, you're probably right. But let's get started.
I don't like it either.
Yeah, I'm very unimpressed with my list. My number 5 is just anything you do with the necromorphs in Dead Space. Because the entire purpose of that is to slice them up into little pieces and like stomp on them, and it's great. Should it be great? What does gruesome even mean? But yeah, I love it because it's violent and it's perfect, and I enjoy it. I love killing things in Dead Space. That's the most if I never had to move off the plasma cutter, which you don't technically have to do, but I had to in some cases, like the pulse rifle to shoot the little bugs that move all around and shit. But you can play with the plasma cutter the entire game. I would want to play with that game that way because it just like cutting up enemies is great, and it is gruesome, and I love it. So Dead Space number 5, slicing up necromorphs.
I mean, also the way in which Isaac dies to the necromorphs in Dead Space is equally violent and
also
gory.
Very gruesome.
Yeah,
as is in most survival horrors. But then again, I haven't played a lot of survival horrors or remember them to be like, oh, gruesome, because this list could probably all be survival horror games. Let's be real.
Probably. And speaking of which, my number 5 is a survival horror game. And that is Resident Evil 4. Now, there are a lot of ways that this could go. There's a lot of options here, but I went with Dr. Salvador, aka Chainsaw Man, specifically because the way in which he just absolutely obliterates your main character, should you allow him to catch up with you, is just particularly gruesome. Just, imagine a dude with a sack over his head charging at you with a chainsaw and then plunging it directly into your gut and then vivisecting you from the belly up through your shoulder, or lopping your head off, or any number of other ways in which you could die to a chainsaw. And you kind of get the picture. So that's I'm going to kick my list off with that.
Are we going to get a bunch of chainsaw death?
We could. You could probably make. There you go. There's another topic somebody can suggest. Top 5 chainsaw deaths.
They are satisfying.
I will just make a list of nothing but me playing Doom. That's the whole list.
Yeah. I almost included Gears of War. I don't know if you did. So maybe that's a spoiler, but those are pretty gruesome.
Number 4.
My number 4 is Yuri from Doki Doki Literature Club. So, spoiler for this game. So sorry if you haven't played Doki Doki Literature Club. Like all of the girls die except for one of them. And there's reasons behind this, but the manner in which they die is really fucked up. Like, I think Yuri's the one. I think she commits suicide. I think she commits suicide. I'm pretty sure she may commit suicide. Is that a trigger word? I don't know anymore. But like, she just sits there in her own blood, and you have to stare at her for an elongated period of time, just like bleeding all over the place. So here's your big titty anime girl just dead in her own blood. And like, in order to advance the game, you just have to let time pass in real time in the game. And it's just like, ugh. I was not expecting this in this cutesy fucking dating simulation. I think that makes it even more gruesome. But there you go. If you're listening to this and you've been trying to skip through for spoilers, end of spoiler. So that's why Yuri from Doki Doki Literature Club, I guess that in itself is a spoiler, is my number 4.
All right. Well, my number 4 is a particular scene in Wolfenstein: The New Order, and that is the brain transplant. Ugh. Oh. All right. So let me kind of set the stage here. So you are captured by the Nazis, and you and 2 of your compatriots, and the doctor, and I forget his name at the moment, but the doctor basically forces you to choose between your 2 companions. So part of the horror of this is that you are the one making the choice. So, and there's no option to say neither. Like, this is gonna happen. And so you have to choose which one of these people are going to die. And then once you do that, They put them up on this sort of like medical table, but then they prop them up on this rack thing and they're like locked into it. And they have this gnarly saw blade, medical surgical grade fucking thing come out and flay their back open with no anesthetic, by the way, and peel the skin back so you see muscle and everything. And then they drill directly into the back of the skull and suck their brain out with a vacuum and put it into a tube, all while they are still alive.
Oh.
So, yeah, pretty nasty. And like I said, it also just ratchets everything up that you were the one that had to choose who was going to go through that.
Yeah, that kind of sucks. That wouldn't be cool. That would not be cool.
No.
Number 3.
All right. Number 3 is, I mentioned this game a couple flights ago that I just couldn't get into it, but it does deserve a mention in this situation. And that is pretty much anything that happens in Mad World. I think that's kind of the point, though, in that game. I think you got like thrown into gears and like there's all manners of just like gruesome death in that game. I can't describe it. It's just the entire point is just ultra violence and to treat every single enemy like fodder and to kill them in the entire point. You get more points for killing them in the most gruesome ways. And they're all very much worth it. Like anytime you throw people into moving gears and it just crunches them up and everything like that, or you throw them into a saw blade or whatever, and that's the entire point of the game. I could imagine, yeah, it gets gruesome. I really wish that Sega would port that because I think it's still locked to the Wii. I would love to see that game in HD. I think that would do that game just a host of benefits. Put it on the Switch too, the family friendly console, and I think that it would be well worth it. So yeah, pretty much anything that happens in Mad World.
I'm still just amazed that released not only on the Wii but exclusively on the Wii. That's just wild.
Yes, I agree. It's nuts.
All right. Well, my number 3, I think like, and it's funny because I kind of like started off with the Wolfenstein one, which is pretty fucking intense. And I think by all rights, this one is not as serious as that one was. But I think what makes it more gruesome is the fact that you are the participant, like you are the one that is doing this. And that is the end of BioShock, where Andrew Ryan reveals that you have been strung along like a puppet this whole time with his "Would you kindly," and then he ends up basically forcing you through that mind manipulation to take his golf club and beat him to fucking death with it, all while he is still taunting you about the fact that you are just a puppet. And like his words get more and more muffled and indecipherable as his face is just getting smashed in. And it ends with you taking one final swack at his skull and a jet of blood just starts shooting out and he collapses on the floor in a crumpled heap. And it is pretty visceral. And the fact that like you definitely don't expect it to happen at all. Like you're kind of looking for like a final confrontation, right? Because this is pretty much the end of the game, but you don't expect this. And the fact that not only are you the one doing it, but you have no control over yourself and that you're just being forced to do this. And the guy is having you do it to himself, which is also a whole other level of absolute batshittery. Yeah, all of that together makes it quite the gruesome death indeed.
I have never finished that game.
Well, spoiler.
There it is.
Number 2.
All right, my number 2 is going to be most of the deaths that happen in Limbo. It's also a black and white game. I think the reason I'm putting Limbo here is mostly because you're a child. and just like the indiscriminate ways that character dies. Like there's absolutely zero fucks. Like jump on a spike, you hear the splat, and it's like a very wet splat. It's very wet, like letting you know that it's like going up into the kid's guts and everything. It's yeah. Everything in that game is just very violent and very visceral. And it's also one of those things that kind of subverts your expectations going into it. I don't think most people are expecting it to be, I don't want to say gory, because it's not overtly gory. It's implied gruesomeness and just like how brutal it is for this character and how they're dying in these ways. So that's why Limbo gets it. Like Limbo is disturbing. I think it's extremely disturbing, and it doesn't feel like it should be, which is why it earns an easy spot in my number 2.
Well, quite conversely, my number 2 is not surprising because you were going into this knowing exactly what you are all about. And that is Manhunt 2. And why 2, you ask, and not the first game? Well, because of one particular thing that you gleefully participate in, and that is what I would refer to as the dentist chair execution. You take your victim and you throw them onto this like rusty dentist chair, punch them in the face for good measure, and then you take both of their hands and impale them with metal spikes so that they are in a sitting position and cannot move. And then you take a dentist drill and you slowly but surely push it as it is spinning around into their skull, again and again and again. And you are just watching this happen with like some kind of fucked up music playing in the background, and it's a whole thing. It's a whole vibe. So that's my number 2. I mean, I could have just said like the entirety of Manhunt and Manhunt 2, because that's basically the point of that game. But that one is particularly gnarly.
Again, another game I've never touched Manhunt 1 or 2. Maybe see, see, this is the theme. I don't play gross games like Shane does. Shane is a very gross person.
That's true.
Shane, you're gross.
I will admit this.
Number 1.
My number 1 is more of just, it's depressing and I can't bring myself to play it because it feels too much like a war situation. Even though looking back on it, the voice acting is kind of cheesy and maybe like there's more better scenes out there. But it's the opening scene of Final Fantasy Type 0 HD for the PlayStation 4. And what that is that there's a character that is trying to meet up with the group of protagonists, and he's riding on a chocobo and he's getting shot at, and everyone is like, these are all child soldiers that are all part of this, and they're at war, and you're seeing like them getting shot down and mowed down, and they don't really cut anything and they don't hold anything back. And one of them ends up surviving and they're all bloodied, and they get on a chocobo, and the chocobo takes a bomb blast and ends up getting bloodied too. So like at the end of the scene, like the chocobo ends up like has a death wail and is covered in blood, and your character's begging to survive. And that, it just crushes me. It crushes me every single time I see it. Great. One of the best scenes in Final Fantasy as a series, I think. And then the rest of the game just wants to be a confusing, convoluted mess, unfortunately. But it's, one of the most impactful scenes I have found in the series. And it's on like a spin-off offshoot. And I think it's incredibly gruesome, and gets to me in that emotional manner. So that's my number 1.
All right. Well, I'm going to go and say that my number 1 is nowhere near that same category. There's no emotional component here. It is just absolute like cringe.
Shocker.
And not in the way that like the kids use cringe. I mean, like you are literally physically cringing having to witness this. And if you're someone like me who really, really doesn't like anything that has to do with your eyes, then this is going to be bad. But it is the eye impalement in Dead Space 2. So If you aren't familiar with what this is, you, Isaac Clarke, have to enter a diagnostic machine that is this would have never passed like any sort of safety checks. That's for damn sure. But you strap yourself in and you have to basically align this giant fucking like spike of a needle with your pupil. It's supposed to be a laser, and you have to align it perfectly in the center of his eye. And if you don't do this, if you misalign it even a little bit, and you have to do this while the needle's moving down, so you're kind of underneath this like time constraint to just ratchet up the stress even more. Not to mention that it's an extreme close up and like Isaac's eyes like shifting back and forth, and you have to try to like move to compensate because he's understandably flipping the fuck out that this is happening. And if you fail, which statistically you probably will at least once, the machine just keeps going downward and just impales Isaac right through the eye socket and into his brain. And it is gory and gruesome, and it makes my skin crawl because I'm the kind of person that, like, now that I'm getting older and I have finally relented and have gotten glasses, fortunately it's a mild prescription, but I refuse to get contacts because I can't, like, I don't want anything in or near my eyes. And so like this for me is like the worst. Like you could take all the chainsaw deaths you want, but a spike through the eyeball, no sir, I will have none of that. Good day.
I hate when people talk about eye stuff too. It just grosses me out. I can't stand it. Which makes me wonder how I got a corrective eye surgery. And I had the eye surgery. I'm going to gross Shane out, by the way, because why not? Let's have a story that will gross him out for this episode. Do you know what PRK is?
I don't think so.
So there's LASIK, where like they shoot lasers into your eyes,
right?
And that, like, they do all that stuff. PRK is when there's this flap that's over the cover of your eyes, and in order to correct it, they cut this flap open.
Nope.
And then they essentially take a sonic toothbrush, sonic scrubbing toothbrush, and they put that on your actual eye and they scrub it. And then they put the flap back on it and close it up.
Yep. Don't want any of that. Thank you.
And I had that done. That's how my vision is correct.
There is nothing about that I like even a little.
I can't remember they put a needle in your eye for the anesthetic either.
I mean, sure, you fuck it. Why not? Right?
Weird feeling.
Like at that point.
It's a weird feeling, man. It is so weird. But yeah, they take like an electric toothbrush device and just scrub away at your eyeball while they have this flap up after they shoot a bunch of shit into it. It's wild, man.
See, the reason, one of the reasons why that terrifies me so much is because I know from experience that I am resistant to anesthetic, and it usually takes them several tries to get it to where it's supposed to be. So like my fear would be that they'd be like, yeah, you're good to go. And then they'd start slicing my eyeball and I would feel all of it. Like, nope.
Oh, you're awake while they do all this.
Well, no, I know, but I mean, I'm talking a dull feeling versus you're literally cutting my eyeball, like, you know.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, you are watching them put the sonic toothbrush into your eye. You're seeing all.
Yeah,
this
I'm good. I'll just stay fucking blind. I don't care. Give me a stick and a seeing eye dog. I'm cool.
Do you know? And here's the reason I got PRK instead of LASIK, because that sounded like, I don't know if I want to do this. To me, is because they had to shut down all of the LASIK machines, because I got done through the military for free, and because the LASIK machines were causing eye infections.
Great.
So they had to call them back because they were screwing up people's eyes with LASIK.
Oh my god.
Take the scrubby brush.
Nope.
We're gonna.
Nope. Give me the thickest goggle glasses you've got, sir. Thank you. Fuck all of that.
I hope we made someone gross out. Hopefully Corey from My Life in Gaming is listening. There you go. All right. So that concludes Was that gruesome enough? Was that a gruesome enough ending for you, Shane?
I mean, I was doing all right till the end there, but yeah. It's good.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah. So those are our top 5 most gruesome deaths that we've had in gaming. I know Alt originally suggested like worst death animations, but you know what? Whatever. I think these are just as good. I won't say better. I'm not going to insult my patrons. But if you want to also become a patron, once again, go to our link tree, linktr.ee/retrohangover, and you can find our Patreon link there. And if you don't want to do that, just go to patreon.com/retrohangover, where you can join for as little as $1 a month. Join our Discord, which is free, but you get those Patreon perks. So do that. If you don't want to join, I understand times are tough. The economy is shit. But Shane, what else do we have for the dear listener?
My God, we've done the swippy swap. We've swapped places. I don't know. I don't know what to do here. What do you normally do here?
I pulled a fast one.
You did.
I pulled a fast one.
You did. I don't know. Something about butts and coins and also Twitch. There you go.
2 hands.
Yep, and horses.
Yeah.
That's everything, I think.
2 hands and a horse.
Yep. I got it. That's it. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I guess if you're I'll say if you're a new listener and you didn't catch our other flight, you're probably real confused right now. But hey, maybe you should go back and listen to our other stuff because it's pretty good, allegedly. But anyway,
We've been told.
Yeah, they say that it's tremendous episodes. But
I've been very strongly.
on that note, until the next flight.
Play with your how many hands can I make a sausage get gruesome with joysticks?